We're back with the world lead now. Today, the Kremlin accused President Obama of Russia phobia. This after the president said Vladimir Putin was Trump's role model and reminded voters that Putin, quote, invades smaller countries, jails his opponents, controls the press, and drives his economy into a long recession. The president and the Clinton campaign have also suggested that hacks of the Democratic Party emails were done by Russia, possibly to influence the election in Trump's favor. Now, in the last 24 hours, hackers exposed personal emails written by former Secretary of State Colin Powell and released more emails from the Democratic National Committee. The DNC blames Russia, though it has not provided any evidence to back up that charge. Meanwhile, Secretary of State John Kerry has been working with Russia on a ceasefire in Syria, now into its third day. I want to bring in Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois. He served in the Air Force in both Iraq and Afghanistan. He's not supporting Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton this November. Let me ask you, Congressman, do you suspect that Russia might be behind these most recent hacks as well?
Yeah, I'm not saying that from any special proof I have, so I want to make that clear. But I think it's pretty obvious they have an interest in this. They've tried to, whether it's through the DNC or through maybe with Colin Powell now, tried to have an impact on the election. We know they have very good offensive cyber capability. We also have very good offensive cyber capability, but it's definitely worrisome. And I understand from a media's perspective having to report it, but I kind of wish we could get to a point where if somebody's email's hacked, that it's just not considered news, because these, we want people to be able to have private conversations.
No, I agree, and it's something we wrestle with, but once things are being out
there. Once it's out, it's out.
Yeah, no, it's tough. What is the motive, do you think, of Russia trying to interfere in the election, if you buy that that's what they're doing?
Well, if they're trying to interfere, I think, Donald Trump has said some things that are nice about Vladimir Putin before. And I think, he likes that. I think he likes to be I think he likes to be flattered, and you've seen that. You've seen Donald Trump saying we have to work with the Russians in some of the toughest places of the world, where frankly Russia, like in Syria, has responsibility for killing almost 500,000 people. They're tearing apart Ukraine and Georgia, and this is what we've seen by Vladimir Putin in other countries. He tries to intervene in their election. So whether or not he's doing it, it's a big accusation to level, but there's a lot of reason to suspect it.
Let's talk about Syria, because right now Secretary of State John Kerry we're into the third day of a ceasefire, and Kerry has been trying to work with the Russians, and it is a plan that has met with much opposition in the Pentagon. The generals there don't trust Russia.
Right.
Kerry's answer is, I don't trust him either, but 450,000 people have been slaughtered. I'm trying to do something. What do you think?
Well, look, I don't trust Russia. I mean, every time they come to the table to negotiate, it's not because they have a humanitarian sense. I mean, for goodness sakes, the Russians have been bombing medical facilities with the Assad regime, with the Iranians in Syria. So, to assume that somehow they're interested in this humanitarian fix of just a tragic situation isn't true. Now that the ceasefire is in place, let's hope we can get some medical aid, some humanitarian aid in. Let's hope that maybe this lasts. But, if you actually get into the nuance of what's happening, this stops at a time when Western-backed rebels were on the offensive, and so it freezes their momentum. You begin to see now, of course, the regime's going to rearm, the Russians are going to reposition, and I won't be surprised if, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, a month, you're all of a sudden going to see this ceasefire broken in a way that benefits the regime in Russia.
I hope you're wrong, as I'm sure you do too. One last question. I know you're not supporting either major party nominee for president, but Donald Trump does represent your party.
Right.
Are you surprised at how untransparent he is being, both when it comes to his medical records and the fact that he is breaking with decades of tradition and not releasing any tax returns?
Not a lot of things with Mr. Trump surprise me anymore. I think, as a lot of his surrogates have said, he should release his medical records in full, and he should release his taxes in full. The American people deserve to know that. At the same time, we have questions about Hillary Clinton's health. She should release that information too. And so I think, look, when you're electing the most powerful position in the world, I think the American people have a right to that transparency and to see what you're made of.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger, thank you so much.
Thank you.